Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making some super simple, easy, and amazingly flavorful pinto beans. And these are made out of the Crockpot, which makes it even more easier because all we need to do is get all the ingredients together and put them in the Crockpot and let the Crockpot do its thing. And once you see how easy this is and how flavorful these beans are, you will never want to buy store-bought ever again. So let's jump right in on what you'll need. We are going to start off by soaking our beans, our dry beans. So that's 2 pounds of pinto beans, some spring water, my crock pot, and also a large bowl to make sure that we get all the rocks and the dirt out. And here you'll notice that 2 pounds of pinto beans equals 4 cups of pinto beans, in case you were wondering. Now these pinto beans, when we soak them overnight, are going to swell in size to about double the amount. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. And what you see me doing here is I'm measuring them out, but I'm also going to start sifting through the beans to make sure that there is no large rocks in them. And you'll see me do that in a second. Now you can do this however you like. This is just the way I do it, and I did find a few rocks, as you can see here. We need to rinse the beans. Now you need to make sure you rinse your beans because they can be really dirty. So I continue to rinse mine until the water becomes clear, and that's how I determine how many rinses I do. And next we are going to get ready to start soaking them in some fresh spring water. So now that they are all drained, I'm going to put them in the crock pot to soak overnight. Now I'm not going to turn the crock pot on, this is just for soaking purposes, and I'm going to pour some fresh spring water on top and let them soak. And what this is going to do is it's going to help make the beans a lot easier to digest, and it's also going to shorten the cook time. So I usually let mine soak for about 6 to 8 hours, and just make sure they are fully covered about at least 1.5 inches over the bean level, so that this way when they start to soak up the water and swell up, they'll have enough water to do so. So as you can see, they have almost doubled in size. They're nice and plump, and they pretty much soaked up almost all of that water. So we're going to get ready to dump this water because we are not going to use it. Next up, we will place the pot in the crock pot cooker, and we are going to pour fresh water over the beans. Now I didn't measure this, but I typically cover the beans with about 2 inches of water, and this allows us to get the end result of that nice soupy refried beans kind of feel and texture. So we're going to add some cumin seed. I added about 1 tablespoon, but you can also use ground cumin if you like, whichever is your choice. And then I also added 2 tomatoes. I just sliced them in half. I also added 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, but it didn't show up in the video here, so I just wanted to note that as well. And then next up, I added a whole onion, 1 white onion. You can use yellow as well. I just cut it up into 4s and threw it in there. And next up, we have garlic cloves. So I have about 10 garlic cloves here, and all I did was peel them and put them into the pot. This is going to give your beans so much flavor, so make sure you do not forget this step. And of course, next we have the serrano peppers. Now I have 4 here. These are pretty spicy, so if that's too much fire for you, then I would definitely recommend using jalapenos or a bell pepper if you really don't like spice. Oh, and towards the end, I didn't catch it on video, but I also added chili powder, about 2 tablespoons of chili powder. Now mine's that I use is hot, but you can use a very mild or regular chili powder and it won't be too spicy. So that's also something that's going to give it a lot of flavor as well. And then we cover it up, and now we are going to turn it on. And I am turning mine on low here because I'm going to leave mine on overnight. But you can also turn yours on high if you want it to cook a lot faster. But like I said, since I'm leaving mine in overnight, I'm not going to be watching it, so I just left it on low. And I was actually able to come back and check on it later. And I noticed that it was all nice and cooked, but I'm gonna stir it around a little bit, and it smells so good in the house. But I noticed that the beans aren't as soft as I'd like them to be, so I'm gonna turn them up high now, and I want basically all of the veggies to be like disintegrated in there. That's how I'll know that it's ready too, and we'll be able to do a little test as well. You'll see soon. Okay, it is all ready. Now, as you can see, it's still bubbling and boiling. That's because it's on high, and all of the vegetables, watch, once we move this around, it's all going to just fall apart. So all we really need to do from here is add some sea salt. And you know, for me personally, I like to add a little bit more chili, so I'm going to add some pepper flakes and then start mashing this because I like mine pretty much like refried beans, but without all the oil and the frying. So that's what we're gonna do next. But quickly, I wanted to show you how you can see whether or not your beans are done. So you just take one bean and you can mash this either between your fingers or on a plate, and it should mash really easily. That's how you know. If it's not, then you leave it on a little bit longer. And obviously you can taste it too. But I'm adding some salt and pepper here. I don't know why I just wait until the last minute after all of the flavors have been infused to add the salt. It's just my preference, but you could have done it earlier as well. It's whatever your preference. So from here, it's all done. If you like your beans whole, you can even serve this just as is. It's so good that you might even just get a bowl and eat it by itself. But I like to have mine with other things as well. So I'm gonna mash this up because I like mine, like I said, the consistency of like refried beans. So I'm gonna add some pepper flakes, mash this up, and as you can see, it looks a little more soupy right now. But if you want it a little bit thicker, you can either leave the heat on and it'll start to thicken up on its own. And once it cools off, it's gonna start to thicken up by itself as well. So if you let it thicken up by heating it, just know that once it cools off, it's going to thicken up a little bit more too. But you can always add water later if you want to make it a little bit more wet or creamy. And that's it, you guys. Here is how I served my Crockpot beans. I had some quinoa with some sweet potato and some mushrooms, as you can see here as well. And yeah, that's all. And I'm sure you guys will use this in rotation for your weekly meals. And let me know how it goes. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.